We chase overtime, we pick up extra shifts, and what we do is call that the grind. But really, what we're doing is running ourselves into debt, stress, and silence. But yet somehow we will call that normal. No one warned us this would happen. You go into healthcare believing that you have a stable career. You make sacrifices. You work on holidays. You work overtime. You mess with your mental health. You give everything. And somehow you're still broke. And to be truthful, on paper, you're making good money. Like anybody in the nursing field will tell you, on paper, you're making good money. But every month, it feels like you're surviving month to month. Not thriving at all. The bills are probably stacking up. Your savings is probably barely there. And you've picked up, I don't know, how many shifts? You tell me in the comments, how many shifts have you picked up as an RN or even as a nurse practitioner? Or if you are a nurse practitioner and you pick up shifts as an RN, tell me how many in the comments. I can honestly tell you this, nearly 1 in 3 healthcare workers, and you can look this up, Google is a powerful tool, have less than $1,000 in their savings. And most healthcare workers are truly one emergency away from being broke, away from complete panic. And the worst part is that you start thinking that is your fault. A lot of it has to do with the system is just not built with you in mind for freedom. The system is just not built for freedom. So today I'm going to break down why so many healthcare workers, just like you and me, stay broke, even with decent salaries. And more importantly, I'm going to start breaking down ways to break that cycle. In school, we learned about anatomy, we learned about pharmacology, we learned about protocols, we learned about procedures. But what we didn't learn about was budgeting, about investing, and what to do when you're burnt out and have nothing to show for it. And that's not your fault. It truly isn't. It's not your fault, but it is your responsibility to change the game. It is your responsibility to become more aware, to have that awareness, and to invest in figuring out how to make your situation better. That solely falls at your feet. That's solely your responsibility. So the 5 reasons that healthcare workers actually stay broke, and I'm going to run through these pretty quick. The first one is the lifestyle creep. I deserve it. I worked so hard, so I'm going to spend it. We all do it. I've been there. I'm not going to sit up here and act like I'm some sort of saint. You've finally are making consistent money after busting your tail through school, and you just want to reward yourself. The problem is that those new scrubs, that nice car, that upgraded apartment, those vacations, they all add up to something. And that's you stressing yourself out, having to work overtime in order to even pay for all of those things. And that's where the trap is. Your lifestyle starts to rise at the pace of your income. So even if your checks are larger than what you've ever experienced, so is your lifestyle. So is your account. Your account is large and then you empty it. Everything that I explained above, that is lifestyle creep. And it is so sneaky. It will sneak up on you so quick. Like I can remember when I graduated nursing school, I waited for like maybe about 6 months. Then I started getting that itch. Like I'm working so hard. I want to buy a new car. So what did I do? I traded in my old car, which was like the worst thing to do. And I think I traded it in for something like $500, which my car was paid for. I bought a luxury vehicle. I don't even know why. And I ended up with this car payment. Reasonable because I was making enough money. But the point is that there was nothing wrong with my old car. Absolutely nothing. But I traded it in anyway. It's that lifestyle and it gets to you so quick. I remember I went and I bought all these fig scrubs. I invested in all of these fancy things that I deprived myself of because I had this goal in mind of trying to get through school. And it's like in your mind, it feels like progress until all the bills start hitting. And then it becomes like, how much of what you're making is what you're keeping? And you don't know. So that's number one, lifestyle creep. Don't let that happen. Number two, student loan debt that never ends. Now, if you're one of the fortunate ones that didn't have to worry about student loans, consider yourself fortunate. But for most people, they do have to get student loans. And unfortunately, healthcare doesn't come cheap. You will take out big debt to qualify for these jobs. You know, whether you go the 2-year track for nursing or the 4-year track for nursing, or if you go from nursing straight into being a nurse practitioner or a CRNA. It doesn't matter. But it follows us into our 30s, into our 40s, and maybe even beyond for some people. And, you know, if you're only paying the minimum balance, which most people will do, especially coming out of school, then that interest is going to rack up, and then 50,000 somehow becomes 80,000, and so forth and so on. And it doesn't matter how hard you work if you're chained to these student loans, if you're chained to all of this debt. And the worst part is we look to like try to avoid it as if it's going to go somewhere. And luckily for, you know, if you're in healthcare, luckily for us that they do have these public student loan things that you can do in order to get rid of that debt. But even still, that comes with 10 years of service working in public service. And not every single hospital system or every single company offers public service. So you do have to kind of pick and choose. And by you picking and choosing certain places, that may affect your income. So that's something to keep in the back of your head, because to be honest, student loans in and of itself are like silent wealth killers. They will sometimes kill your ability to obtain wealth. Number 3, overtime dependency equals burnout. If you pick up overtime all the time and you can tell me with a straight face that you're not burnt out, tell me in the comments, because I guarantee you that no one in the comments will be able to say that they're not burnt out, they're not tired, they don't forget what day it is, they don't forget what time it is, none of that. I have been there, trust me, where you pick up so much overtime, you don't even know whether or not you're coming or going. And then what happens is that you see those checks, and even though you're too tired to spend it, your bills know that those checks are coming, and you get stuck in this loop of having to pick up overtime rather than choosing to pick up overtime. And then that equals to burnout, because you recover just enough to repeat that exact same cycle. And it sucks. It sucks so bad. And then you get this brilliant idea, well, maybe I'll go back for some sort of advanced degree. But it doesn't matter, because if you don't adjust your lifestyle in order to contribute to wealth and invest, it doesn't matter whether you go back for an advanced degree or whether you do this or whether you do that. It's still going to end up in a burnout cycle because of the overtime and because you just recover long enough to repeat that exact same cycle. Then we start believing that we have all of these extra hours in the day, and all these extra hours that we're going to work, which is going to inherently fix things. That's when, that mental breakdown of convincing yourself that the thing that you're doing, although it's hurting you, is somehow helping you. And it is not. And that's not going to produce wealth. That is survival. That was the word I was looking for. That is straight up survival. And it's just not sustainable. And I'm coming from a place of having been there and also having worked through it and continuously working through it, because it's so easy to end up in that overtime dependency burnout cycle. It truly is. And it's a forever thing until you can figure out how to do the thing without the overtime. And number 4, no financial literacy. We know medicine like the back of our hand, but not money, because it comes in just as fast as it goes out because of all of the working that we do. And how am I going to prove it? If I ask you to calculate a drug dose, or to tell me a certain medication, or any type of health related question, I bet you can answer it. But if I asked you about compound interest or Roth IRAs, or, any of those type of financial things, high yield savings accounts, I wonder how many people can answer that question if I asked you a question about that. And it has nothing to do with being smart. It has absolutely nothing to do with being smart, because going through nursing school or any healthcare program, whether you're a physician assistant, nurse practitioner, physician, and this applies to all healthcare workers, not just nurses and not just advanced practice providers. What I'm saying is it has nothing to do with smarts, because we are some of the smartest people around, especially when it comes to medicine. But it's because no one actually taught us this. They've programmed us to do tasks. We just make as much money as we possibly can, and then we just hope for the best later, or we try to figure it out later. And later becomes years and years and years and years and years and years. And again, I'm only saying this because I know what it's like to be broke. I know what it's like to have a little bit of money, and I know where it's like to be somewhere in between. And you literally have to humble yourself and start from absolute zero. Like, you have to know that, hey, I don't know everything, especially when it comes to this finance thing. I have no freaking clue. That's the first step. And then you have to, whether you have to look at a bunch of podcasts or look at a bunch of YouTube videos just like this one, or start with simple investment books, or, start with starting a high yield savings account, going to the bank and talking with someone specifically about high yield savings accounts and other savings accounts. But at the end of the day, you cannot grow in anything what you never learned to manage. No one can just go to the bedside and just become a nurse. Like, there's certain things in certain steps you have to take in order to get to that point. No one can be a nurse practitioner. And you can't just start being a nurse practitioner on day one. And even if you are a nurse practitioner on day one, you have to learn, right? As a nurse, you have to learn. As a physician, you have to learn. It's the same thing when we start talking about financial literacy. You have to make a commitment and start where you are. The final thing, number 5, is no plans beyond a paycheck. All you do is work. You see your money come into your account, you figure out what bills you have to pay, and then whatever else is left, you blow it. Or you might put a little bit in savings, but for the most part, that money is spoken for. That's your only income. That's your only job. And the thing about it is that your one injury or one episode of burnout, mentally and physically, and most of the time the mental comes faster than the physical. You're one mass firing or restructuring away from $0, from zero. And the reason why I even said I'm gonna start talking from the heart about content and try to invest in coaches and mentorships and things like that, because I had the realization that I literally had no backup plan. The only thing, I was good at a lot of things, but the only thing that was consistently bringing me in money was being a nurse practitioner or working at the bedside as a nurse. I had no passive income. I had no assets, just some cars, which are liabilities, and my house, which is a liability until it becomes an asset. But I just had the one stream of income. And it felt like I was constantly walking this tight rope with no way to get down, like with no net under it. I'm just walking on this tightrope. And the funny thing about it is you don't need like 10 different streams of income. Like I know some people that got like 1 million jobs. And you don't need all of that. Like you just gotta like build a system that's not tied to you being at work. And having a paycheck in particular, it's like a paycheck parachute. Like I said, your paycheck comes in, you divvy out all your bills, and then it goes out and whatever's left is yours. No, you don't want to do that. So I'm not saying that I have all the answers, because I'm in the rat race just like you, and I'm sharing my journey just like, I hope that other people will share their journey. But here's how I'm deciding to change things. And if you want to use this, you can tell me in the comments what you're doing in order to change your situation. But for me, I started tracking how I spend. Specifically, the things that truly get you are like the streaming companies. Like, how many subscriptions to streaming companies do you need? I started looking at how much I spent on DoorDash. And one of the hacks that I start doing is I might still order it on DoorDash, but I'm going to go to the store and pick it up. Or, I might order it directly from the store to save money. I even started looking at my Instacart. And one of the things with Instacart is not every store offers in-store prices. So I just started going to the store, or I'll send my daughter to the store to get some of the things that we might need. And that has helped a lot as far as like tracking the money that I'm spending. And the second thing is, and I'm still working on this, is living on less than what I earn. Because once you get to that lifestyle of living at a certain means, it's hard to break that cycle. So it's very hard, but it's also freeing. And once you can get to that point, like for example, I said once, the car that I do have right now, once that car is paid off, I'm not getting another vehicle. I'm going to drive that car, make sure I keep up with the maintenance and everything on that car. And, the thing about wealth is, while some wealthy people do drive nice cars, they have made it to the point where they're able to pay for that vehicle like 3 times, right? And so wealth doesn't equate to you having to have nice, shiny things. That's not what wealth is, right? You don't have to flex. And number 3 is focusing on paying down my debt, specifically my student loans, which are completely out of control. I'll be honest with you. And trying to chunk at those in order to get to the point where I'm completely free. That's like the biggest Achilles heel for me personally, is just my student loans. And then of course, I'll turn my attention, over to like my house and things like that. And then the last thing, which is the number 4 thing. I'm sorry. I got 2 more things. Number 4 is invest. So I have a high yield savings account that I put a certain amount of money in every single time that I get paid. I put that money in before I even like pay my bills, before I even do anything. I put money into my savings. And, having an emergency fund and having a different savings, that type of like a spend play money savings, that will help you control any type of urges that you might want in order to spend, right? Because you do want to reward yourself when you do get your money. You don't want to feel like all your work is in vain, but at the same time, you want to be conscientious of how you divvy out your money and how much you take for your personal pleasure. And the 5th thing, which I didn't say this, but the 5th thing is building income outside of your job, like building income that can be sustainable, like just a open stream of income. And that's what YouTube can be. I also picked up photography. Like those are different income streams that I can do in order to build income on the side. And you can do the same thing. You can start a YouTube channel, or start something on Instagram, or start something on TikTok. And all you have to have is your cell phone, or you can use what I'm currently using right now, which is the DJI Pocket Pro. It's very affordable. Your cell phone you always have anyway, and then the DJI Pocket Pro is very affordable, and it's something that you can use, and you can just tell people like your everyday life stuff. Like it doesn't have to be anything crazy. You can also learn a high income skill, whether it's communication, whether it's anything that's high income. You can learn that on the fly. And it doesn't have to be anything that's big. It doesn't have to be anything that's big. Content, like I said, for me, it's just something that was working. So I just continued to start doing it. But I look at it like this. In my opinion, you care for others every single day. It's your job. But I feel like it's now time for you to care for you, for you to care for your future, and build a version of success that you can be proud of, that doesn't cost you your sanity, that doesn't cost you, tearing down your body or, becoming like mentally exhausted. And if you're still watching this, I want you to hear this loud and clear. You are not the one that's broken. You're not. The system is broken. The system has failed you, but it is your responsibility to overcome that. It's your responsibility to overcome that and not use that as an excuse. And you have the ultimate choice. You can learn. This day and age is so easy to learn stuff. You can shift exactly where you are right now. You can shift it in less than 6 months. You can completely shift where you are. You can build something for the better, and you can start now. And it doesn't take a lot. It doesn't take a lot. It just takes your commitment, and it takes your willingness in order to do it. So if this hit home for you, tell me which of these 5 reasons was way too real for you. Like, it's like I was speaking directly to you. And if you're done just being in that never-ending cycle of being broke with a good salary, hit this subscribe button as well. Because on this channel, we're going to unlearn all of that BS stuff. And we're going to build true freedom, starting here and then letting it trickle down. One smart move at a time. So I want us to break this cycle together. Okay. I appreciate you. Like, comment, subscribe, share this video with anybody that you think needs to hear this. And I'll catch you in the next one. My name is Naisha Nicole. Peace.